I want to talk about some things that you're going to need if you start an embroidery company. You're going to need stabilizer. You're going to need some stabilizer. And the reason you need stabilizer is when the needle's piercing that fabric, it starts to cause a lot of problems to that fabric, and you need a stabilizer to be able to take that pressure. And so one of the most used stabilizers that I use is called a cutaway stabilizer. The reason it's called cutaway is because, yeah, you cut it away. And so here's my stabilizer. It was a huge giant roll. I got it for $30 online. I don't necessarily remember the company, but one of the companies that I do go to is called All Stitch Embroidery Online Company. It's 15 wide. The reason is I only got 15 wide is because my hoop is 12 wide. So I just needed a couple inches bigger for it to get the hoop length, especially when I'm doing bigger projects or bigger 12-inch projects. This stabilizer was about that much bigger, and I paid $30-something for it. And this was on sale because it had it perforated. It was already had some cutting lines like this. Normally you do have to cut it away. And so this is one of the most used stabilizers. It's called Cutaway Stabilizer. What I like about it is when you're doing a job, especially like a heavy dense embroidery job, a cutaway gives that dense embroidery job that stability to be straight, to be firm, and to stay put even after you wash it. It doesn't tend to wrinkle, and some people use certain stabilizers on a heavily dense embroidery project, and then when you wash it, it wrinkles all over the place because you didn't have a thick enough stabilizer to hold that foundation together. So I use a heavyweight. It almost feels like a thick wash towel. And when I'm doing like a heavy dense job, I use 2 layers. But I really like this cutaway stabilizer. The next stabilizer that you're going to use is called a Tearaway. Woohoo! Tearaway. Why Tearaway? Because it tears away. Yeah. This is kind of a really light Tearaway stabilizer. I think you can even see through it. Probably can see through it. I use this when I'm doing towels, especially having this as a bottom foundation for my towels, and or linen. Like if I was embroidering something like this that's so thin and see-through, I don't want to have that cutaway piece of fabric behind my design. And so you would use this for very pretty fabrics like linens or things that the fabric is see-through, or towels, because you don't want to have that big border of cutaway. And so this is Tearaway. This is a pretty thin one. The next stabilizer you're going to need is called the water-soluble stabilizer. The reason I have this one is because when I do towels, they're hairy, they have a lot of hair, also some blankets, some furry blankets, baby blankets that you have. You want to make sure that you have this on top, because you don't want that thread, that needle, to go down and up on that hairy foundation, and then you lose the thread. And so this gives it a clean place for it to embroider. And then this water soluble, when you add water, it disappears. Also be careful, make sure you have it on a Ziploc bag, or this will disappear if there's a lot of humidity in there. Now I use this on top of blankets and towels, and I use this on the back of it. And I use these two to do embroidered towels or blankets or things like that. The thin fabrics and more hairy fabrics for this one. The next stabilizer you're going to need is called a sticky tearaway. And so let me show you. This is sticky. Let me get a piece, and it literally tears away. You tear it. But when you pull it off the little paper foundation, it's sticky. That sticky tearaway, and you tear it off like I do here, like that, and then it just sticks literally to the frame itself. And as you can see, it's sticking on the frame. You would use this fast frame and your sticky stabilizer when you're doing bags, head bandanas. I use this when I'm doing numbers on hats on the back of the back of the hat, or names when I'm doing on the side of the hat. This fast frame, honestly, Best purchase. It was expensive. It cost me $170 or $145 at the time. I'm sure they're $189. I'm not sure anymore because I've had this for so long, but I've used it for so many things. It comes with so many frames too. Like this one I would use for head bandanas. You can use this one for hats, and it has all these different frames that come with it. I'm not even showing. I think there's 4 more. So this is called the fast frame. And you would use that sticky stabilizer for this. And what happens is sometimes you can't hoop things very well, especially on a regular hoop. And so it's easier to put them over a fast frame. And then you can clip your product around the fast frame. You can clip it around this metal frame. And it doesn't shift on you, and it stays stable. And so I recommend this fast frame. I'm sorry it looks kind of gross, but the truth is I use it all the time. So the next stabilizer you're going to need, if you have a hat hoop and frame, I recommend that you have a heavy tearaway. I bought this roll for $35, and I mean seriously it was huge. I've had it for quite a while. I don't do a lot of hats, but when I do them, I do them a lot. But I can't say that I'm doing them every month. I can say honestly that I do them maybe 5 times a year, where I'm doing a multitude of hats. And this is a thicker tearaway stabilizer. So do you see how it tears away? It's a lot thicker than that thinner stabilizer. You can buy a heavyweight tearaway stabilizer and get a big giant roll of it, but what I found is I like this kind of roll, and it's just specifically for my hats. Because I don't want to be cutting so much. The more efficient you are when you're doing your embroidery work, the better, because the quicker you are, the more money you make, to be honest. The next thing I want to share is one of my favorite things that saved me tons of money, because sometimes crazy stuff happens when you're embroidering. Your machine shifts and the design's not in the same place, or you didn't put the hoop on right, or sometimes you put the hoop on and you didn't check underneath, and so now you're embroidering on top of the shirt plus the back of the shirt. I've lived it all. My favorite tool is this called Peggy Sue Stitch Away Eraser. It's Peggy Stitch Eraser 3. I love this. I'm serious, this thing is $85 when I bought it. I don't know how much it is now. I know you can find it on All Stitch, but what I love about it, you turn it on, it's like a razor. You could literally erase what you did when you do embroidery work. It saved me money. Clients give you their products for you to embroider them, and sometimes they give you some expensive stuff, and you don't want to have to go back to the store if something crazy like the bobbin case got stuck, your thread got jammed, to have to go to a store and repurchase that item that you're probably only charging maybe $15, $20 to do, and that item costs them $50. And nothing like this stitch eraser. It saves me a lot of money. It's worth a lot. It's really worth purchasing. I kind of hurt when I first bought it because it was $83 at the time. But you know, I really am thankful that I did buy it because I've used it constantly. As a matter of fact, I think I bought another one. Now, I'm thinking you can buy one of these, the cheaper ones, maybe at H-E-B or Walmart. I've never tried it. I've tried this, so I'm going to reinforce this. It really does work. It does get rid of the stitches, and maybe later on I'll do a tutorial on how this Peggy eraser works. Another thing I would like to share is about thread. I go to All Stitch to buy my embroidery thread. All Stitch Embroidery Online. I know I'm talking about them a lot. I do not buy any stabilizer or anything at quilt stores or fabric stores because I think they're a lot more expensive when I buy it in town. If I buy it online, like an All Stitch, or if I buy an embroidery company, wholesale embroidery company, I tend to buy for the same price a whole lot more product. So it's called Madeira thread. This is one of my favorite threads that I use to do embroidery work. I have this huge spool. They last for a long time. I think I spent $7 on this spool of thread. It lasts a long time. I have certain schools and places that I do work for, so there's certain colors that they have for their school, and so I make sure that I have those colors in stock because I know I'm going to do a lot of embroidery work for them. But I really recommend spending, I think these are $7. They're worth it if you get just your primary colors if you need to of embroidery work. So this is the Madeira thread. That's what their name is. It works great with your embroidery. My next thing I want to share is your Tova bobbin case tension gauge. I have one of these for my long arm quilting machine, and I have one of these for my embroidery machine. If you know what your tension gauge should be on your machine, the blessing of it is you don't have to work on your tension again on the bottom. The only thing you have to focus on is your top tension. I'm serious. I figured out that I used to get very confused when it came to tension, and I would get frustrated because I wanted to do a great embroidery job, or have good tension on my machines. I realized that if I had this thing, this wonderful little tool, let me open it for you. If I had this wonderful little tool and I set my tension right on my bobbin case, that I didn't have to mess with anything else on the bottom. All I had to now mess with is the top tension. And once you have your bottom bobbin case tension right, you don't have to deal with the bottom area anymore. You start dealing with the top tension, and then you can start turning those to get your tension right. So I really recommend this wonderful tension guide. And so I think that's it on my embroidery tutorial, I guess. I hope you like this tutorial, and I hope that it helps you somehow. I hope you have a great day. If you like this video, subscribe or hit like. I hope you have a wonderful day, guys. All right, bye-bye. You can also have your bad days when you're doing embroidery work for clients. I love this Peggy Sue. Dog. Love my Peggy Sue. Be quiet! I love this Peggy Sue. It's called the Stitch Eraser. Stop it! I love